listening to Enlivening Musings, a podcast to enhance your life so you live fully alive. Sponsored by the Pleasure Fairy app. Download it for more support. Welcome to Enlivening Musings. I'm Crystal.
And I'm Katie.
And today we have a very special guest who delves into the marriage sphere. So if you're married and feeling like you want more love, connection, and sexiness, make sure you stay tuned for this entire show today. Debbie is a former attorney and Colorado registered psychotherapist who has also studied life and couples coaching, as well as sacred and embodied sex coaching methodologies. She's inspired by her own experiences growing up in a sex-shaming culture, haven't we all? Mm-hmm. And enduring a long sexless marriage before creating life-changing intimacy. She helps women transform their relationships with their bodies, selves, spirits, and partners. So enjoy musing around with us today as we chat with Debbie. She's going to help us get unstuck, get out of our busy minds, and into pleasure, which you know I love. And she has a focus of helping you be a beloved, cherished woman. Welcome, Miss Debbie Marielle Elzea. Did I say it right?
Yeah, thank you, Crystal.
Yay.
Yay.
We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, super excited.
All right. So as we were getting ready for everything, we were talking about that being a beloved, cherished woman and what that is, and how one of the themes that went into that was being your husband's girlfriend. So I'd love to start there right away and just really get into that. How do we do that? Why would we want to do that? What does it mean? And what is it to be beloved and cherished?
Yeah, great question. It's reminding me of a post article that I did recently, which said, are you your husband's girlfriend, or are you his mother, his roommate, or his rival? Right? There's a lot of roles we can take on in a marriage. And I am always of the mindset that being the girlfriend, the lover, the cherished woman is the best place to be, right? So we channeled kind of some of that energy back. Remember when you were dating and you were falling in love? How adorable and sexy and playful you were, and how wonderful and romantic and special he was. Well, you are still those people inside. How do you get that energy back, even though now we're in long-term relationships? And the truth is you have to cultivate it, right? So what happens is as women, what we crave more than anything for most women, I can always only speak for most women, most men, is we love to be cherished, adored, chosen, special, emotionally connected, right? And for our man, what he's really craving is he wants to be your man. He wants you to admire him, appreciate him, respect him. So we're kind of speaking different love languages, right? But to become a cherished woman, if we show up largely, really focusing on the good in him and not always looking at the bad, like the proverbial socks on the floor that become a focus once we are married, right? We start focusing on the things. Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do this without asking, right? We didn't even ask him to do it, but he should have read our mind and known, right? So we start focusing on the negative. So instead, I help women focus on the positives and be that, loving, respectful girlfriend that also is kind of playful and sexy. Because then when you're in a good mood too, you're irresistible to your man, right? And who doesn't want all that attention from our man? So it's how we show up is how he shows up.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We were even kind of just talking about that the other day, about just how to evoke almost being worshipped, because when you're in that state and it's like being worshipped. And so I feel like that's very similar to just being cherished.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was thinking. We were talking the other day, just outside of podcasting, about how if you feel worshipped and that way by your husband, everything else goes away, all your frustrations, so it kind of goes both ways. If you're feeling that way from him, then he can give back to you. Yeah.
It's a real shortcut to personal growth and self-esteem and things like that. So many women are I need to work on myself, or, I need to love myself more. You know what I mean? What could be better than being your man's adored woman? Talk about a shortcut to feeling good about yourself, especially when you've earned that by being a wonderful partner.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Like what?
That's what I was thinking. How do you do that?
And or maybe an easier question is like, how do you help women learn how to do that?
And stay
Part
there.
of it is a big part of it is focusing on the positives. So there's a whole school out now called positive psychology, which all of psychology traditionally has been based on Freud and focused on pain, suffering, mental illness, right? Getting people from, bad places to a zero, to normal. Positive psychology is about what is human flourishing about, what makes life good, what makes life worth living. So I help the woman to use these techniques to show up happier about herself, about her life, in a better mood, in a good mood, and less stressed. When we are relaxed and in a good mood, our husband is magnetically drawn to us. Is he not? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well,
So
it's
that's
funny
one
because
of the first steps. He wants you to be happy and in a good mood and happy to see him. So that would be the first part, is taking responsibility and not being like, I'm not happy, it must be you, which is
right.
not an unusual mindset, but it's like, how are we going to take charge of our own happiness and self-care and looking at the silver linings and the bright sides and such in life and being grateful for what we have. So that would be like the first stage of how do you become a cherished woman? Makes sense?
Mm,
I love
And then
that.
the second
totally.
part is, how do you relate to a man that makes him want to please and delight you and be your hero?
Yes.
And like I alluded to, men are craving our respect, our approval. They are born from women. They love it when we are approving and caring and respectful of them. And we are not trying to turn them into our girlfriend with
Yeah.
unrealistic expectations about what a man should be. So
Yeah.
makes sense?
Yeah, no, I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely was a pivotal shift for my own relationship when I stopped looking at him as trying to like make him perfect or something more like me, and instead accepting like, oh, you do it that way.
Yeah.
And really liking that and being like, oh, okay, so that's how you're showing up. This is why I actually am attracted to you, because we are opposite. Like, I don't want you to just be my friend. I want you to be my polar opposite. I want the attraction to be there and all of that stuff, you know?
Yeah, and that's a good point. When it comes to male female dynamics, that is part of the attraction. We don't want to turn our man into our girlfriend, because then we lose the sexual attraction for him, right? And if same way, if we are too much in our masculine head of, being up in our heads and wanting things done our way, he's not attracted to us because we're
Right.
not in our feminine. He's not in his masculine, and that kills off sexual attraction, which is the third part of my coaching and becoming a cherished woman, is the sexual bond. The sexual bond is so important to a couple. It's the only thing you can't get elsewhere, right? You can only
Mm-hmm.
get this from each other. You married each other, so you pledged lifelong fidelity to each other. And that's a big deal, right? So you have to
Mm-hmm.
get this part right. And what your man generally, if he's like most, what he wants more than anything is not just a woman who puts out, but just a woman who desires him, who actually
Yeah.
desires him and has a good time with him.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
and frequently, if a woman doesn't, it's because we're up in our heads. We're the one with anxiety issues. We're the one with judgment, guilt, shame, unworthiness, distraction, the inability to relax. We're stressed out. So it's largely, if we're not connecting lovingly in the bedroom, it's something that we need to work on.
Yeah, well, and something else that you were talking about is that idea of how often we show up in our masculine energy. You know, we're so like go, 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 do, do, do. We get into this whole zone. And I'm just going to imagine that, and you tell
Mm.
me if this is true or not, but like you're a successful business person who started out as an attorney. I'm sure you were like living in that world even more. Did you feel that way? Like as an attorney, you had to show up in your masculine even more than you do now?
I've
Or no?
always kind of instinctively, because I'm almost 6 feet tall, and my dating pool's always been very small. The more
Aw.
educated a woman is, the taller she is, the smaller and smaller her dating pool is. And so I think I've always instinctively tried not to turn on the heavy masculine, because I'm taller than 80% of guys in the room. So I think I've
Interesting.
always tried to lean towards keeping the femininity alive. And that's helped a lot, with my husband. He
Yeah.
thinks I'm adorable.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay, so I have a question talking about all this. So what are some tips to like help us get in our feminine a little more? Like what do you have any little like gems or things you could share? Like
Yeah, I mean, like
techniques
one
or
would be like, don't run around in sweatpants all the time. I mean, like your husband's coming home now. He's coming home from work. Put something cute on. Put a little makeup on, put your hair down. Notice the difference of how you feel when you changed into when you are in an outfit that looks good on you. Notice the difference. Put here, I have an exercise I do to my clients. Pick out the frumpiest, ugliest outfit in your closet and put it on and write down how you feel. Pick out the sexiest outfit in your closet and write down how you feel. We are responsible for how we show up. And this is also how we show up as far as turned on. Most of our turn on originates from our head and our heart. And so we can have the impact of showing up turned on, or as I say, if a woman is all stressed out in her head, thinking about work, thinking about kids, thinking about this, that, pity the fool that tries to turn her on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I love that too, because it ties right into being his girlfriend, right? You're good. If you were just dating, that's how you're going to show up. You're going to be putting on your cuter outfits. You're going to be evoking that in yourself. And it's like a domino effect of yes.
Yeah, you're looking forward to seeing him. You have anticipation. I'm looking forward to seeing you. You can look forward to seeing your husband too. You can send him a sweet, sexy text too. So, kind of channel that sweet energy you had when you were excited to see him.
Yeah. And so do you feel like that just bleeds right into the bedroom, or do you like to bring in even more? Because I know like just amping it up and getting more of that sexiness and more of that in the bedroom as well is part of everything that you offer.
Yeah, I mean, we are largely responsible for our own turn on. So if we are always stressed out and overly busy so that our sex life is no priority to us, maybe it's the last thing we think about when we're exhausted and fall into bed, but we don't prioritize it. It's not going to be that good for us. If we don't know what we like, if we aren't able to vocalize what we might like, what we might like to try, what kind of touch we like, then you know what's going to happen? He's going to bring what he likes, or worse, what he saw on porn. And we are just going to passively going like, I'm not into this. And then eventually we are not very interested in making love to our husband because it's just not that good. Right. So we can, reduce our stress levels, figure out some things that we like, right. And be able to communicate so that we create an atmosphere of being like lovers, sexual explorers together. Right. We need to lighten up and have a good time.
Yeah, I love that. So when we were talking before the call too, we were talking about some of that and how women tend to want to bring more of that intimacy, close connection, that type of stuff. And so women seem to be more like directed towards exploring things like tantra and that type of stuff. And yet men will hear that word and they'll think like, no ejaculation or this or that, and they'll start to shut down and be like, I don't want that. So
Totally. That's why Tantra has not taken off.
so what, I know you have a special like way, a knack of helping women do that with, because the majority of women are with more ordinary type dudes, right? So what do you do to help women do that?
Yeah, so I believe that what most women want is emotionally connected lovemaking. And I've gone through like sex coaching schools and things like that, which are super sex positive and they're very, polyamorous and, kinky oriented and things like that. But my focus is the regular woman who wants to be made love to and doesn't just want like sex. I mean, you can still have like very physical stuff, but it's still, it's an emotionally connected. So that's why there's a big emphasis on the relationship, right? Is a late relationship feels safe and trusting and relaxed, because the best sex for women comes from a place of feeling relaxed already, safe, relaxed. Men, they can have sex to relax, but usually we can't, right? We want to
Yeah.
be relaxed and then add arousal on there. So tantric ties beautifully into the emotional connectedness that women want. It works. There's often rituals like, sharing of heartfelt words, or, preparing a lovely space. There's a slow pace, very much taking your time, which suits our bodies, which take 10 times as long to get fully aroused as the male body. There might be an emphasis on only giving or only receiving, which is a lovely switch, because most times people are having sex, making love, and it's like you're both trying to give and receive at the same time, right? You're trying to get turned on while making sure he's turned on, and then like you're distracted because you're trying to do two things at once. So there's often an emphasis on only receiving or only giving. Let's see, what else do women love about Tantra? Women love that it's about enjoying the journey, and it's not like orgasm chasing. Because what happens is, what's the typical sex act is, one of you is trying desperately to come while the other is trying desperately not to.
All right.
Guess who's who?
Oh, it sounds like so much
Right.
work.
So exactly. So it takes the pressure of orgasm off, because the point is to enjoy the journey. And also there's an emphasis on getting out of your head and into your senses and into the moment. And all of these, I emphasize, in my coaching with women, and I strip out the woo, because most men are not interested in all that new age woo that comes with Tantra, right? So we can do this without talking about chakras and goddesses and things like that, right? But we can get heartfelt, connected, slow lovemaking that I'm totally borrowing shamelessly from Tantra, but they don't even have to know it's Tantra.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, I love that. I love your approach to it. It's just very interesting, and it's so I don't know if the word is like tangible. It just seems so attainable, like the way you're explaining it, and just your overall like knowledge and background of it. It's very appealing. I think I love it. I love the approach you're bringing to it. It's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so with that, I saw that you have that blissful bedroom boot camp. Is that a free boot camp for that anybody can just kind of hop on and kind of see if they?
That's the name of my Facebook group. It was called that, but it's a Facebook group, and it's called More Intimacy in Marriage for Women. And there's about 2,500 women in it. And I post every day something like tips for your marriage, or women share their dilemmas. And so I invite women to join More Intimacy in Marriage for Women.
Nice.
Cool.
That's great. I love that. And how else do you do this work then with people? Is it one-on-one? Is it a group?
Yeah, it's one-on-one. It's sexual issues, so it's one-on-one. I emphasize that, although it's not therapy, right? We don't need to dig deep into the past, the pain, understand why you feel the way you do. If your sexual relationship issues are rooted in trauma and mental illness, by all means, see a professional about that. But most women, let's face it, they struggle with sexuality because female sexuality is complicated, right? It's complicated. I published some papers that say the 7 things women need for great sex and love and intimacy lives. And there's 7 of them. So they are knowledge, not only about how our anatomy works, but what we like, knowledge about what we might like. Then there's worthiness and confidence. If we are trying to suck in our bellies while we are making love, nobody's having a good time, right? So there's worthiness. My desires are normal and natural, and I'm deserving, and I'm a sexual being, and I'm confident, and I don't have to have a perfect body or a perfect relationship to have a great time. Then there is time, which reflects 2 different things. One is that it takes 10 times as long often for a woman to get aroused than a man does. And the other is prioritizing your sex life. Because if you're just waiting till you both are mutually turned on, you're going to end up in a sex-starved marriage, right? If you don't prioritize lovemaking together. Then there is, oh my goodness, there's so many. Then there's emotional connection, which I've been talking about, which is that we want to feel safe, and we want to feel cherished, and we want to feel emotionally connected to our partner. And often we're waiting, a woman will often be waiting, like, I don't feel emotionally connected to him. He's not being romantic or sweet or whatever. But then the guy, if he's like sex starved, he's not being romantic and sweet. Somebody needs to go first to break this like conundrum, because a man often will become nicer and more loving if his sexual desires are being met, right? You ever notice that, how loving he is after?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there is creativity, because bedroom boredom, it's not good. And then there's sexual fitness, which is, we don't want to prevent against pain, atrophy, things like that. Also, our lady parts can go numb from lack of touch, attention, loving, right? So how to improve sensation. And I'm missing one because there's so many. What's the last one?
It's fine. It's like me trying to remember the 4 love languages. I'm always like, or the 5 love languages. I can't even get the number right. So they'll be like, okay. It happens.
Yeah, here's the other one, embodiment. Oh, and this is a hard one because this one's actually a practice why I want to work with women over time. And that is, our famously multitasking brains have a hard time switching gears and just being present in the moment, right? We're thinking about the past, we're worried about the future, we're thinking about what's going on in the other room, at work, right? A man is frequently like, sex, focus, right? He's focused, he's in the game. How do we get in the game so that we're very, very present? And that's a kind of a practice to shut out distracting thoughts and really be into your 5 senses as opposed to your head, forgetting that you even have a body.
Yeah, 1000%. How many women listening are going, oh my goodness, yes.
And that's Tantra too. I use
Yeah.
tantric techniques for that as well, to help women get out of their heads and into the moment. And some of those tantric techniques include breathing, right? A focus on breath, and also breathing calms your nervous system. Sound. Sound tells you that you're safe, and also that you're having fun, and that you tells your partner you're having fun, right? And movement, not to just lie there, but to actually, how do you like to move? How do you get into it? You can also move to get yourself in the mood. And then there is visualization, imagination, touch, different kinds of touch with different kinds of like intention put into the touch. Ooh.
I love all of that.
Yeah, it's so good. I love all this. This is such good information. I know people are going to love hearing all of this.
Well, I'd love to work with you. Sign up. I offer a complimentary call to women to explore what's your vision for your love life and what have your challenges been, and let's see if it's a fit.
Well, let's go ahead and share verbally. I'll put it in the links too, but where do they go to book that call?
My website is called moreintimacy.net. I figure we all want intimacy. And when you hear women hear the word intimacy, they're often like, oh, it's that loving closeness, that special quality time together and such, sharing, talking. And when men hear the word intimacy, what do you think they hear?
Yikes.
Sex, right? Isn't that funny? So big part of my coaching is don't hate. Yeah. Yikes. Okay. Yikes. Vulnerability. Yes. Because men don't wear their heart on their sleeves. We have to earn their vulnerability. Right. And if we show up in a way that's critical and such, we don't ever get that guy's vulnerability. Now, it's real easy to blow because it's not the man's way to wear his feelings and to share his vulnerability unless he feels also very safe, so we won't use it against him. So yes, men intimacy. I was going to say, when men hear intimacy, majority of them hear the word sex. Yes, I want more intimacy because I want sex. And we can't hate each other for the way they're made. Men hear intimacy and they're like, yes, give me some sex. And women are like, oh, yes, give me some love. Right? How do we get what we both need out of a relationship?
I love that. Yeah.
Yes, I love this, and I love your approach too, because I've feel this way, and I've heard it from a lot of different teachers that, as women, we set the tone, whether we want that responsibility or not. Like we are just responsible for the relationship in a way of like how it's going and how everyone's feeling. And so I like that you're like holding us to that a little bit, like, hey, this is your responsibility to show up as this empowered woman that you are. And to kind of like a famous book out there, Getting the Love You Want, right? That's kind of a lot of what they talk about, is like, you gotta do the work. And as a woman, we really just have that ability, which is a beautiful gift.
And that it can be playful and fun, and it doesn't have to feel so heavy.
Yes.
Like even just your energy, it's like, you're going to have fun with this,
Yeah, we have fun in coaching. I say, this is not therapy. We have fun. And,
Yes.
we have fun in coaching. It's very much based on positivity,
Love
positive
that.
psychology. We start with celebrations. We got to get to focusing on the good in life. Every session, it's like, what are your celebrations for this week? Oh, all these things went well. Hey, things are not so bad, right? And so it's very positive based. We don't need to probe in the past. I actually have a clause in my contract, like this is not the place for venting about the past and things like that. We know this is about learning skills, mindset shifts, and making big changes. And so it happens fast, right? The results happen fast. And I always say, to get the best out of your man, show up, a little bit different in yourself. It's not
Mm.
really work, right? I don't like to say that it's work, but just like try these new things. And suddenly it's like, my husband is like so helpful around the house. What happened, right? I used to think he was so lazy, and now I notice all these things he's doing. I thank him for it, and he does more. He starts looking for ways to please you when you show up pleasable.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love, just even though you have the psychology background and everything, that you don't treat it like traditional therapy. It actually, and I feel like in that you're getting these quick results, as you're saying, it's like put in these few little tweaks into your life, into your perception, into everything, and watch.
Yeah, that's like with the 7 things that's like that women need for great lovemaking and sex lives. It's like these are not, assuming that's not like, trauma background that's
Right.
keeping you from it. I'm like, plenty of women don't have great sex, and it doesn't have anything to do with like probing their family of origin, their past, and that boy, that went too far. It's really not that. It's just that it's complicated. You're not broken. You don't have the skills. You don't talk about it with anybody, making it normal, de-shamifying it,
Mhm.
and you don't celebrate it and learn and explore new things. So, like I said, it's complicated, but you probably haven't had a guide.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great.
Love that so much.
Yeah, me too. All right. Do you have any other kind of last minute final thoughts that you want to make sure that everybody hears before we again reiterate how we can get in touch with you?
Yeah, just that's we do set the tone of the relationship. If mama's not happy, nobody's happy. A lot of times it's the man that's turned off and doesn't want sex anymore either. That is also a niche of mine. So I
Oh,
frequently end up
nice.
working with women who have low libido, low desire, low drive, right? And often it's a relationship issue combined with a lack of skills and knowledge and things like that. 4 out of 10 women have that low desire, low pleasure, or even pain. And also a growing area is the man that's lost desire, right? What do you do about that? And it
Yeah.
frequently it's either a relationship issue, right? He's tired of being turned down, or she's not really into it, or it's you're acting like his mother, and who wants to make love to their mother, right? So he's,
Yes.
there's a relationship issue that needs to be reversed, or it's a performance issue. Because, as we are aging population, 40% of men in their 40s have ED, 50% in their 50s, and so on. Plus, there's the impact of porn, which I'm always kind of anti-porn, because there's no loving, honoring, cherishing of women. And also, that's not how real women get turned on usually,
Right.
right? Is by the stuff that they see in porn. So there's all those impacts. And even then, the woman can still do a lot, because you create a relationship where we're going to inspire him to want to take care of, the challenges that he has, because there's so much shame around erectile dysfunction and such with the men. So how do we get past that is another challenge for my ladies.
I love that you added that, because we haven't touched upon that at all. And I think that it's a really important topic.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're not alone. You're not broken. Male-female relationships, I call it the ultimate multicultural relationship, right? Almost interspecies, right? So learn,
Yeah.
right? Learn how to relate to your man in a way that makes him want to be your hero. And the same thing, learn how to relate to each other in the bedroom so that you're both are really happy with the experience.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I love it.
Me too. All right. Tell everybody again how to get in touch with you.
Yep. My website is moreintimacy.net, and my Facebook group is More Intimacy in Marriage for Women. And my name is Debbie Marielle Elzea. Thank
You're
you.
amazing.
Yes. Thank you for all this amazing information and knowledge, and just I love just that reassurance that you're not alone. I think everything you said, it probably really resonates with a lot of women, and just sometimes just hearing it is just the first step.
Yeah.
So it's so wonderful.
Yeah. And we encourage everyone who was ignited by Debbie's awesome to really check her out, because I love her stuff. And
Yeah, there's a
she's the
quiz on
real
my
deal.
website. Quiz on there. What's blocking your bliss? Where I take those 7 things and be like, what are your top needs? So
Nice.
that could
Cool.
be eye-opening for women as well.
I love it. I love it. Thank
Nice.
you.
Yeah, let's all go take the quiz.
Yeah, let's do it.
Tell us your results.
All right. Yes, do it. Tell us your results. I'll put the post up and you can share what you got. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you
This
so
is so
much.
great.
Thank you, Crystal.
All right. Bye.
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 Thanks for joining us. You can find us on Instagram at Enlivening Musings. Connect with Crystal on her app Pleasure Fairy. Connect with Katie on her website wellnesswithkatie.com. Enjoy.